these are real US dollars, but I would argue they may not actually be real money. Let me explain. One of the most basic and overlooked questions is this: what actually is money? Most people never stop to think about it. We just use it every day. But money actually has three core definitions. It's a store of value, unit of account, and it's a medium of exchange. But the most important one is store of value. This is the foundation for the other two. And what that really means is that your money is supposed to store your energy and your hard work across time. Think about it. People all over the world, they wake up early, they go to work, they put in real effort, and then they store that effort in dollars. That's pretty much what your savings account is at the bank. It's a way to store your hard work. That's what your paycheck becomes. It's stored work. But here's the uncomfortable question. How well is that work actually being stored using something like this? You don't need to be an economist to see what's happening. $1 today just doesn't buy what it used to. Groceries, gas, housing, they're all more expensive, much more expensive. Even the basics cost so much more than they did just a few years ago. And if you really stop to think about it, it's not that everything is getting more expensive. It's that these are quietly losing value. And because of that, most people have been pushed into using something else to store their hard work, rather than simply saving their money in dollars at a bank account. Oftentimes, they feel like they have to invest it just to preserve their purchasing power. They have to buy stocks, real estate, or some other asset, not necessarily to get rich, but just to store their hard work in something that's not going to just lose value over time. Think about it, because it's actually kind of strange. You work hard, you earn money, and then just holding on to it isn't enough. You have to take on risk just to stay in the same place. And I would argue that shouldn't be required. A true form of money, by definition, should preserve your hard work over time by default. Money that preserves purchasing power should fundamentally be built into our financial system, not something you have to engineer around. Just look at a chart of the value of one of these over time. It's a long, steady decline. So if by definition these are supposed to store value, then we have to ask ourselves, are they really doing their job right? Now, to be fair, these dollars do work really well in other ways. It's an excellent medium of exchange. You and I can give these back and forth for goods and services pretty easily. You can use it almost anywhere instantly. And it's a great unit of account because we've grown so accustomed to it over time, it's easy for us to think of things in prices of dollars. That's how we often measure value, using these guys. So I would say that the dollar checks two of those three main definitions of money pretty darn well. Now compare that to something like gold. Gold has traditionally been a strong store of value, but it's not very practical. You're not going to be shaving gold pieces off of a bar to go out for lunch. So I would say that gold checks one box really well. It's a great store of value, but we're not thinking of things in terms of gold prices, and we're not giving gold back and forth to pay for lunch. And then there's something newer that people have been talking about, which is Bitcoin. And I'm not saying that anybody should go out and buy gold or buy Bitcoin. That's not what this is about. What I am here to do is to get you to think about money differently. Now, the reason I think Bitcoin is so interesting is because it shows some of the properties of a store of value over time, even though it's extremely volatile, meaning it goes up and down quite a bit. And that volatility makes it really difficult to use as a unit of account and as a medium of exchange, because the price might change so drastically, it's hard to think about things in terms of the price of Bitcoin, and it's hard to pay for the lunch you just had, knowing that the price might change again. But some people say that if something like Bitcoin were able to mature over time, it could actually potentially check all three boxes. And that is due to the fact that Bitcoin has what is called diminishing marginal volatility over time, meaning that over time it swings in price less than it did previously. And again, if it could find some sort of stability out into the future, it could potentially check all three boxes, just as a thought experiment. But that would require a major shift in how people think about money. People would have to start pricing things in smaller units, like Satoshis instead of dollars. Satoshis being the smallest unit of Bitcoin possible. It's 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. And people would have to actually start using it in terms of everyday transactions. Buying lunch with Bitcoin, buying coffee with Bitcoin. And that's just not where we're at today. And so Bitcoin remains largely a store of value, but definitely not a unit of account or a medium of exchange. However, it is very interesting to extrapolate these ideas. And when you zoom out, something becomes very clear. Money has changed many times throughout history. People have used seashells, glass beads, even massive stones called rhinestones that have big holes in them. So money isn't fixed. It's more of an idea. It's a shared value system, and it evolves over time. So maybe the real question isn't, what is money? But what should money be if we're going to create the best possible future? Now, I go deeper into these ideas in my book, Fast Money, Fast Times, which you can find the link to below. I just released a super special hardcover edition, which I have poured my heart and soul into, and I'm excited to finally share it with the world. This is just the soft cover edition here. Go check out the hardcover edition on Amazon now, and I will see you in the next one.
Yeah. We're about to change the world of money, watch the flow. New economy beats that echo, timeless rhythm rewriting, about to change the world of money, watch the flow.